Hey guys, Dwayne here. Today I want to talk a little bit about how emotional abuse leaves no scars. There's been a bunch of discussion about this, and when it's physical abuse and there's actually scars, there's bruises, broken bones, cuts, it makes it really easy to communicate with people about what's going on and what you're dealing with. When it's an emotional abuse, it makes it really complicated because people don't necessarily know how to understand it. So the first thing you have to realize, or the first thing you have to accept and acknowledge to yourself, is emotional abuse is abuse. I mean, just let that sink in for a minute. Emotional abuse is actually abuse. And a covert narcissist is a master at doing that type of abuse that's unseen, that there's no scars. I mean, the most somebody might see is that you're upset, but there's no direct correlation with something that's happened. And the problem is that they use a bunch of different tactics to do that. I mean, so it's an emotional wound, it's an emotional scar. So people who, like I said, people who are looking at you don't necessarily see it, and they don't necessarily can equate that it's the significance of it. The other issue is whenever the person is doing it to you, they're projecting on you emotions and feelings that you start to take as your own. So on top of, well, that is part of emotional abuse, but it's part of the mind game that's being happened with you, and then the net effect of that is depression. You start to question yourself. You don't really understand what's going on, and you just start feeling like you're being broken from the inside. Now, the main problem with this is people just don't understand. They don't understand. You've more than likely may have had people say things to you like, well, you don't have any bruises. They didn't beat you. They didn't do, whatever, add the laundry list of things to try to invalidate what you're thinking. They're basically being dismissive of your experience and what you're going through. And that in and of itself can be a very isolating experience because, you feel alone. There's people who don't necessarily understand what you're going through. Now, typically these type of people, all narcissists, but covert narcissists are really adept at this, is in public, they can put on an outstanding image. They seem, polite and professional and articulate and friendly, and people just would never expect that they would do anything like this. And also keep in mind that, for a while, you are hiding it too. Whenever you're out in public, you are trying to portray this image that everything's fine, and you're trying to hide that dirty little secret of what's going on in your own house. So when all this starts to come out, people aren't really going to understand. On top of that, I made another video on Monday where I was talking about fear tactics. Well, you in the midst of this start to believe the fear tactics. Now, that when they're trying to tell you that people won't believe you and downplaying what they're doing and trying to project onto you that you're making this out to be more than it really is, you start to believe it. You have your friends who are basically dismissive of you, telling you that it's not that, it's not that big of abuse. And you start questioning yourself, is it really that bad? Is it really as bad as you think it is? Maybe you're overreacting. Maybe you pushed, maybe you caused it, But bottom line is all those questions and stuff is not, it's not true. It's not accurate. What you need to do is you need to seek out a support base that can help you through this, that acknowledges what you're going through and can help you through it. The problem is people who don't understand narcissistic emotional abuse, or just emotional abuse in general, which typically is going to be tied to some type of personality disorder, they don't understand it. And if you start trying to explain it to them and they don't get it, they're either not going to want to listen to you, or they're going to think that that you are emotionally unstable, which technically you are at this stage, because you're being emotionally tortured while you're going through this. So you have to seek out a support base that can help you. Now, the first part of that, and I've talked about it before, is traditional therapy. A therapist, and like I've said before, a therapist who is trained and skilled in trauma abuse, narcissistic abuse, personality disorders, is going to be more equipped to be able to hear what you're saying. When you're saying certain things, to be able to pick out what you're saying and read into what's actually going on. Without that, you could actually end up with a therapist who may not have the skills on that and may think that it's not the same type of abuse, and it could potentially be even more damaging. So when you're looking for a therapist, and I've said this before as well, I mean, they work for you, right? So you shop around and pick the right one. Pick the one that you feel comfortable with, who seems to get you, who can, well, on the first go around, it's just going to be the normal rapport. Like if you talk to them, it's going to be, okay, how is this working out and is it helping you? And as you're going on, if you think you initially had a good therapist and it doesn't seem to be working out, then find another one. I mean, this is about you. This isn't about them. It's about finding the right mix of therapy and support options that help you get through this, okay? The other thing is, and I've talked about this before as well, is online support groups. There's a bunch of different resources online that can help you understand what you're going through, that have people who have been through it, so they're more supportive because they understand the isolation that you're going through. They understand the fear that you're going through, and can give you some, well, one is just to validate what's happened to you and reassure you that you're not alone in this, that you're not in some bizarre little one-off situation that nobody else has experienced. Having that support group or that support base of people that you can relate to deal with this is really important. And guys, this is for men and women. I mean, sometimes it's harder for men because any type of, abuse, whether it's physical or even emotional abuse, a lot of times men do not really provide adequate support. And, talk about dismissive, they can be super dismissive on it. I know that women have the same issue. Okay, so that's important to surround yourself with a support base that understands what you're going through and can help you. And then the third thing is the YouTube videos like you're watching now, and the other channels that cover stuff like this, just to give you that support when you need it, whenever you're feeling down and you're having a bad day and you're not sure really what's going on. So, but the main thing is you have to know emotional abuse is abuse. It is abuse. Do not dismiss it. Do not downplay it. If you're in a situation and you are not feeling well, that is a problem, okay? And that's not the way, that's not right. You deserve an opportunity to be happy yourself. Okay, the number one thing you have to remember is, on top of it being that emotional abuse is abuse, you have to know and believe that you can recover from this. It can feel like you won't ever recover, but you can get yourself back. More than likely you're feeling like you're in a situation where the person you were before is so far away that you don't even know them anymore. You can get that back. And when you start thinking about, if you're starting to question yourself saying, well, it's better to know the devil that's near, or know what you know than what you don't know. I don't believe that. Being away or being out from under that thumb of an abusive relationship, just knowing at the end of the day that when you go home, you're going to your home and it's your environment, and it's non-chaotic. There's no chaos, well, unless you create your own chaos, but that it's your own environment and it's a protected environment is tremendous. Don't convince yourself that, well, it's not so bad, that, well, I guess it's okay. Well, I have a house. Well, I have this. Well, I have that. You know what? You deserve an opportunity to have your life back, to not have to live under the thumb of an emotionally abusive person, male or female, and to get your life back. I'm not saying it's easy. I'm not saying that, that it's not going to be wrought with pain and frustration along the way. But I firmly believe that, the worst moments I have had since being away is better than the worst moment that I've had since being away is better than the best moment that I had with when I was there. And I mean, and that's the way you really have to look at it, because, do you really want to live that way for the rest of your life? I mean, do you? I know I didn't, and I didn't even know what I was dealing with. I just knew that I was unhappy and that things weren't mixing right, and that I was tired of being frustrated and stressed and dealing with all those negative emotions, and I wanted something different. Or I wanted to be alone and be able to figure out how to live with myself and be alone. Okay, so I'm going to wrap this video up. If you have some experiences that have helped you through dealing with that transition, or that realization that people aren't exactly the most supportive whenever you're trying to explain emotional abuse to them, leave the comment about that. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. If you dislike this video, give it a thumbs down. And if you like the channel, please subscribe. And I hope you're doing okay. This one's a tough one. I know I kind of went through this a little quick. I hope you're doing all right. And I will talk to you guys on the next video. Take care. Bye.